Theme 2, Session 9. Stealing is irrational. During our first sessions, I gave you the following trilogy. Stealing is always right, stealing is always wrong, and stealing is sometimes right, sometimes wrong. Now you should be able to answer the question. My view is stealing is always wrong. Because stealing is always immoral for one thing, and as I will demonstrate, it's also always irrational. It doesn't matter who does the stealing, what the so-called justification for it is, where, when, why, it's totally irrelevant. I presented you, for example, with this trilogy. Slavery is always right, slavery is always wrong, and slavery is sometimes right, but sometimes wrong. My view, slavery is always wrong because it's always immoral and it is always irrational. The definition of morality is indeed an absolute, and we cannot allow for exceptions. If you ask simple question, whose property it is, then every volitional action will fall either outside of the circle or within the circle. Within the circle, we have morality, or the totality of absolute good actions. Remember what absolute good is. Let us go back and look at some things we discussed in the first sessions. If A takes the property of C without the permission of C, then by definition, A's actions, what? Immoral. If A takes the property of C with the permission of B, but not the permission of C, then A's actions are what? Immoral. If A takes the property of C with the permission of the great majority of the nation, but not the permission of C, then A's actions are immoral. Do you still think that the way to cure the problems of mankind is to steal property? Looks like we do it at least during last century and a half for sure. I'm actually pretty sure we did it like for 6,000 years at least. But what is stealing is the custom. Does it make it right? What does it make it moral? What is stealing is the custom. Does it make it rational? What if murder is the custom? Does it make it right? Of course, one might ask, well, this is all very interesting, but what it has to do with me? And the principal question on your mind at this time may very well be, how is this going to affect whether or not I get my salary raise this year? Or how will this help me get the house cleaned up for this weekend's out-of-town company? Or how it will help me solve my personal problems? One of the important things that will be demonstrated in the full context of this course is how all of these things are connected. However, in order for you as an individual to be able to identify this connection, it is necessary that you accomplish what we called intellectual integration. To integrate means to make whole. What you must acquire is a whole or complete understanding of both problems and solutions. In the first sessions, I talked about the failure to integrate, to tie together, the sum of the social problems. Now I will use the absolute standard of rightness and this method, the scientific method, to relate and to tie together those various social problems, and you will see that there is clearly a direct connection between the stealing of property to building the road, a road, the theft of your house and your land, and the theft of other people's property to help pay for the road. There's a connection between that and a large number of other problems, such as increasing inflation, poverty, war, pollution, crime, unemployment, energy crisis, racial conflict, or low quality education. But what is the connection? Well, that's what we will explain. In our society, if one suggests that it's wrong or immoral to steal property for the purpose of building a road, the most common question in response would be, wait a minute, how could you possibly build enough roads for the whole nation if you do not at least steal some land or steal some funds to build the road? They don't call it steal, they call it different names, but when you translate it, you will see steal all over on every wall. Would it be a question that almost everyone might ask? I will soon demonstrate to you how to build a road that is better, safer, cheaper, faster than any road we have now. And it will be not necessary to steal 1 square foot of a land. It will not be necessary to steal $1 to finance the project. Can you imagine that? Ladies and gentlemen, by the time the road to freedom is completed, you will see that every argument that advocates stealing is a lie or ignorance. Again, lie or ignorance. Or together. You and I will take every single argument that reaches a conclusion that you must steal property to solve a problem, no, take away another man's property without his permission. We will take every one of these arguments and reduce everyone to hopeless absurdity. When we complete the course, you will see that the argument that you must steal property in order to solve problem is no more intelligent than the earlier argument that we must burn witches in order to end the plague. Burn witches even was smarter. I'm joking. No, it wasn't smart. Remember that people have a habit of assuming that if something is customary, then it is right. That doesn't make it right. If everyone on the planet believes that P is 3, that doesn't change the ratio. We're ending the theme right and wrong. And during the next chapter, I'm going to explain how to apply the scientific method to build solutions to our principal social problems. I hope you will find it continuously rewarding for you to look through the tube, not similar to the tube Galileo looked at and saw mountains on the moon. You will see mountains on the moon and much more. But you have to teach yourself to dare to look through the tube. Until next time.